Liza P is one of my favorite games. I 100%ed the game back when it first came out and absolutely loved everything the game had to offer. A few months back, they had announced the DLC for Liza P, and recently I decided I wanted to do a challenge run before the DLC came out to refresh myself on the game and make some fun content. So it was quite the surprise when, in the middle of me working on this run, they dropped the DLC. That honestly messed up the entire plan for this video, but that was okay, because I wasn't gonna stop until I completed both the base game and Overture while only leveling up Vigor. Now let's start from the beginning. Walking forward, I start by choosing the Path of the Bastard, since it's the path with the most base Vigor. It also has the highest base technique stat, which would help me slightly later on, especially since I can't level up any other stat. Clearing my way through the station, I destroy the big police bot and get the key, making it out of the station and running through the area till I arrived at the first boss, the Parade Master, beating him in my first try. Committing the first lie of the run, I entered the hotel and the game was finally starting for real. Talking to Sophia, I level up my Vigor, realizing now that Vigor wasn't my health stat, it was my stamina stat. Grabbing the puppet string, I headed out of the hotel to Krat Main Street, getting my first death from a fall. Arriving at the Mad Donkey after a bit, he actually kills me, and then I take revenge and kill him, before making my way to the first actual boss of the game, the Scrapped Watchman. I had to learn his attack pattern since it'd been over a year since I last played the game. Attempt after attempt and parry after parry, I slowly but surely learned his timings, getting better and better at optimizing damage. Around 30 minutes later of getting his parries down for both his first and second phase, I beat the Scrapped Watchman. Now it was time to go through Vanini Works. I was going around exploring a lot to pick up upgrade items for my weapon and levels for my Vigor. I run into the Mouse Survivor, killing him in my first try and stealing his mask, and for the rest of the game, I was gonna wear his face. Eventually, I run into Vanini himself, and after getting some upgrades, I made my way to the next main boss of the game, King's Flame Fuoco. He did a lot more damage than the Scrapped Watchman, but his moves were very well telegraphed, and I began learning his parry timings. Eventually, I was consistently making it to Fuoco's second phase. Now I had to get used to his shooting. I even almost killed him before falling once again. After only a couple more attempts, I beat him, finishing Vanini's factory and making it back to the hotel, grabbing some new upgrades and heading over to the next area, the Cathedral. I worked my way up the tower of the Cathedral, running into this mini boss of an enemy who just kept kicking my ass. It took almost 10 attempts to get past him, but from there, I made it through the last bit of the Cathedral, starting the next major fight against Archbishop Andreas. I was gonna make sure to take advantage of the fire grindstone I had gotten, since I knew he was weak to fire. His first phase was really easy. I made it past it within the first few attempts, and every attempt after, I was making it to phase 2. I was making sure to save my fire grindstone for phase 2 to guarantee I did more damage to its more difficult phase. After a bunch of attempts, I hit parry after parry, getting major damage on him and finally finishing him off. Going back and getting more upgrades, I began the journey to the next area, running into a very curious, unusable statue where I was certain the DLC would start from. For now, I just continue on and begin my journey through the Black Rabbit stronghold. I basically just skip everything I can and make it to the Black Rabbit's boss fight in like 5 minutes. Now this fight I remember very explicitly. So entering this fight, I already had a goal in my mind. I wanted to destroy the eldest brother's sword. And in order to do this, I had to parry him so many times that his sword just breaks. And that's what I did. Attempt after attempt, death after death, learning his attacks, I made sure his sword broke, finally dishing out damage, and as every sibling came out, I would target them, making sure to get rid of them before focusing on the eldest. After only a few more attempts, I kill the eldest brother as the other Black Rabbits run off in anger. Dealing with some things in the hotel, it was time to make my way to the next area. Along the path, I have an encounter with the White Lady, killing her and going on, attempting to run past the Mad Clown, who kills me. I do run past him eventually and touch the Stargazer before he kills me again. After I die, I ignore the clown and head into the Opera House. I do no exploration and run straight through, entering the boss room and meeting the next boss. The boss that would be the first major hard stop of the run, the King of Puppets. My first attempt isn't too bad. I actually get his health down halfway. I even get him past that on my second try. I knew the King of Puppets phase of this fight wasn't going to be too bad, but I kept getting flashes of what was to come in my mind. A demon who would torture me once I finally encountered him. Over and over again, I kept getting so close to beating his first phase, but I would slightly miss it. But on my 25th attempt, I did it, getting past his first phase and meeting Romeo, who killed me immediately. And that's how things were gonna go for a while whenever I would manage to reach him. After about 20 more attempts of getting to phase 2, I had managed to get him to about halfway when he activated his fire flowing dance attack, catching me right away and killing me in one hit. This fight was crazy hard. The farthest I could seem to get him him was halfway through his second phase before he activated his fire dance, killing me instantly. Then this attempt happened where weirdly, he didn't activate his fire dance attack when he reached half. I was ecstatic. I had to take advantage of this. I even managed to knock him down. I was getting closer and closer to the end when he suddenly jumped into the air, quickly crashing into me and killing me instantly, with him being only one hit away. This broke me here. I had been fighting him for hours and I was just so close, but I had no idea how much longer this would take me. And it was just more and more attempts before eventually the king was dead, and I was now in the last half of the main game. Running through the next street, I skipped past the enemies to open the gate, getting killed in the process, but now I could just run past and get the Stargazer for the next area, Lorenzini Arcade. This was going to be a short area before the next main area I had to get through. I tried my best to avoid unnecessary fights, making it through all of the arcade and arriving at the next area, the Grand Exhibition. Heading inside with the tram, I worked my way around, getting killed by a wrestler before going back and finishing him off after a long fight, and making it to the door of the next boss. Before fighting him though, I head back to the hotel and pick up more upgrades. Now it was time to fight the next big boy, Champion Victor. Even though he was killing me in almost one hit from every swing, I felt his moves were a lot easier to parry, and after quite a few attempts, I was parrying and dodging him a lot better. After about 20 minutes, I got him to phase 2, and after putting some work in, I died. Honestly, I felt his second phase wasn't too bad, and on my third attempt of getting him to phase 2, I actually beat him. With Victor dead, I meet Simon Monis, the main villain of this game, and head to the swamp, the next major area of the game. I avoided exploration at this point and made it to the next Stargazer by the broken puppet. I went over to the Owl Doctor's shack, and this man cooked me a few times, I'm not gonna lie. But with some patience, I killed him and went on, making it through Boulder Cave and defeating big old dude here, grabbing the next Stargazer and beginning the fight with the green monster. I knew I was gonna struggle with this fight, but honestly, I made it to the second phase in only a few attempts. It was a lot easier to deal with than I had remembered. But phase 2 took me out quickly, and it wouldn't be for a few more attempts before I would see it again. With phase 2 basically being a rematch with Scrapped Watchmen with a few extra steps, I basically had the parry times down for the most part. I ended up taking him down pretty quickly compared to the last few bosses. I run through the little mineshaft and make my way back to Krat Central Station, and this time things are really messed up here. Before I begin going through here though, I head back to the hotel and pick up the 2 Dragon Sword from Alidoro. This weapon would become the savior of this run and make the impossible possible for me. I also level up my Vigor, and at this point it was level 65, so while I couldn't take any hits, I sure as hell could run away. I went back to the Central Station and started making my way through, getting killed quite a few times. I eventually run into Robert Weasel, and this Weasel cooked me. I eventually managed to finish them off and run through. I still had so much more to go. The deaths piled on, and after 40 minutes of trying to make it through the area, I reached the Walker of Illusions. I had completely forgotten about this boss fight, and seeing him brought back horrible memories. Oh! Oh! Oh my gosh! Just bodied me. The 2 Dragon Sword really saved me here. Being able to parry and knock him down really helped, and I was able to finish him off. Now I had a revenge match with the Parade Master, but he's corrupted this time. Most of his moves were the same, but this time I get one shot by pretty much all his attacks. So I had to get the parries just right. I was getting him down pretty quickly. He wasn't that difficult, especially with being able to burn him. After a few times of almost killing him, I managed to just barely finish him off. I run into the destroyed hotel, and after checking in on everyone, I repair the Stargazer, and here I get a notification. The whole reason I started this challenge was to prepare for the DLC, and now I had the item necessary to start it. So what should I do? Should I finish the main story, or should I head straight into the DLC? That was the decision I had to make. I went and played the piano, unlocking the secret passage to the Alchemist Isle. I went back to the Stargazer and warped to the Path of the Pilgrim, where a new cutscene starts. Hold on. Nope. If you guys want to see this, you're gonna have to wait till tomorrow. I now had a lot of new upgrades, weapons, and a new outfit. Wonder how I got those. Anyways, I take the elevator down and make my way through the underground passageway. Skipping past everything, it was time to fight the Black Rabbits once again, but this time all of them were after me at the same time. My goal was to bring all the siblings down low before finishing them off, so that way I could one-on-one the eldest brother when he comes back. And after a few attempts, I managed to execute my plan perfectly. I slowly but surely took care of the eldest, parrying his attacks, which I had gotten very familiar with, and using this pillar to circle around and dodge whatever I wasn't sure I'd be able to parry. And in no time, I killed the eldest once again, finally taking care of the Black Rabbits for good. I went on, killing Alidoro and taking the submarine to the Isle of the Alchemist. I was finally at the end game. I run all the way past the dunes, killing Door Guardian in my first try and making my way through the massive castle of the Alchemist. This area is huge, so after an hour of trying to remember where to go, I eventually made my way to the doors leading to my favorite boss of the base game, Laxasia. And the arm of God will awaken soon. Yeah, this was gonna be a fight. I had to learn her parry timings and decided to make use of Icarus, a Legion arm that shoots out saw blades to do damage. With my Legion constantly refilling thanks to some P organ upgrades I had at this point, I was gonna try to bide my time and run while I slowly drained her health. And the plan worked better than I expected, but it took a lot of time and I didn't feel it was worth doing every time I died. So after dying, I went with a new approach. I had to make use of the 2 Dragon Swords parry to stun her, and that's what I did. After a few more attempts, I finally managed to beat her first phase. As she removes her armor, I now had to try my best to fight her second phase. Parrying back all of her electric blasts, she launched into me, killing me right away, and now I had a lot of work to do to get back to phase 2. A few attempts later of parrying, dodging, and reflecting, I managed to take down Laxasia. Only 2 more bosses and I would be done. Finally reaching Sophia, I give her mercy and gain my white hair. All I had to do now was ascend the tower, and I was gonna run past every enemy possible, using the stamina I had built over this playthrough to run for miles without breaks. Releasing Geppetto and continuing the climb, I had reached the top, beginning the fight against Simon Monis. Time to learn another boss. Thankfully, with him being so big, after a few attempts, I had gotten better at reading his moves, dodging and parrying to get hits in when possible. I ended up making it to phase 2 pretty quickly. Phase 2 was gonna be the problem. I had to play it patiently, especially with all the projectiles he had now. It only took me a few more attempts, however, to finally take him down. It was now time to deal with the final choice. Was I gonna give Geppetto my heart? No, I couldn't just end the run there. I had to kill the nameless puppet and prove that I could truly finish this challenge with only Vigor. He was gonna be a bit tough, killing me instantly, but with him being a puppet, I knew he would be weak to electricity, using that to my advantage as I got better and better at dodging his attacks. It only took me 10 attempts to get him to phase 2. I knew at this point I had faced the hardest challenges already. Now all I had to do was get used to his moves in his second phase and this fight would be over in no time. And in only 6 more attempts, I managed to take down the nameless puppet, finally beating the final boss of the game. With 3 taps of Dorothy's shoes, I had become a real boy with so much stamina I could probably win the Olympics. I had finally completed the most difficult challenge I have ever done. This took me 2 months, but I had done it. I was able to beat Liza P, only leveling up Vigor.